Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about The Last of Us Season 1. Now, The Last of Us, which has been airing on HBO Max, it was about 9 episodes and it's all out there, is based off of the acclaimed video game of the same name, The Last of Us, which released back in 2013, so it's coming up on its 10th anniversary. And given as how it's one of the most acclaimed video games of all time, it's regarded as one of the best amongst many fans in the gaming industry. So naturally, it kind of wrote itself because it's made by Naughty Dog, which in my opinion is one of, if not the best, video game developers, by not only having great action, gameplay, and characters, but also they're really story focused on their games, most notably the Uncharted series and the Last of Us series that they've been working on. And so it kind of wrote itself for a TV show or movie adaptation of this story. And you have your main character, who is the basic premise of the game, I'll just get into that real quick, is this guy named Joel, who after 20 years of the outbreak of the zombie apocalypse around that time, and he comes across this task to transport this girl named Ellie who is immune to the virus to see if they can maybe get a cure. But it turns into a cross-country road trip around the United States to get her to the facility to see if they can get a cure. And along the way, stuff happens. Now, the TV show is, and I really took time to put this out because I know it's been done for like a week or so now, but it's not a good show. It's really bad, and I'm about to get into why. So before I really dive into it, just know spoilers for the game and the show. So if you haven't played the game, or if you aren't really a gamer and you just watched the show, there is spoilers for the show, so be warned. Now, my main criticism with this show, and I believe they emphasized on it, is there isn't enough action. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just there's so much good moments that makes the story of the game flow, to have it a compelling game, because you're in this apocalypse, and throughout the entire season, the main character barely interacts with maybe 2 or 3 zombies at most that I can recall. And whenever you do get to an action scene, like when they first get to, I believe it's Kansas City in here, when it was Pittsburgh in the game, whatever. When they first get to an action scene, when they get jumped, and it's less entertaining to watch because they just kind of crashed a car, when before they all jump out, the raiders and all, to ambush them. Joel runs over a guy, which was crazy. They crash a bus into the car. It spins out into a building, and it's a great way to introduce yourself to this section of the game. Here, none of that really happens. They just kind of crash the car, just from some gunshots or whatever, which is fine, but it isn't as entertaining or as impactful. And whenever you get to a sequence where you have shootouts and all, you don't really see it. You see it from Ellie's perspective. She's hiding behind a wall, and all the shooting and killing and all happens from the other side. So it's just kind of like, what the hell? And a lot of the characters kind of get butchered here. Like, for the most part, they're done fine. For example, Sarah, Joel's daughter, at the beginning, I thought the beginning episode was not that bad, because I like the approach they did there, where they tried to flesh out a little bit of life before that introduction with the talk show host and all. I thought that was a great addition. The first episode was probably one of the only good episodes in the whole show, and they did stuff that they tried to do different, like connect the neighbor with them, and give Sarah more to do, looking around about what's going on during the night of the outbreak officially. It's great. I thought all that was pretty solid. The plane crash, they kind of tricked us because we're expecting a car to crash them for them to spin out and wreck, but instead it was a plane crash, and I was like, oh man. So that type of stuff was cool, kind of crazy, but it was good, the first episode overall. But from there, it just kind of spirals into just blandness, because I don't want to be like that, but Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie, is one of the worst casting choices I've ever seen for an adaptation. That's just my opinion. I think she is horrendous in the role, and I really don't want to critique her that bad because I know she's kind of a younger star. But a lot of people are saying she's the best. She's better than the girl from the video games, and she's one of the best performances. She deserves Emmys and stuff. And I'm just like, no. Her line of delivery in some situations, and I'm mostly comparing it off of the game because they wanted to go that route. They wanted to copy and paste the game instead of doing something original like the Uncharted movie did. So by default, I'm going to have to compare it to the game, which is what all these other people are doing when some of them are saying it's better than the game, which I think is nonsense, just in a lot of reasons. But her line delivery and aspects is bad. Her ways of being funny is really cringy and just annoying. She just doesn't know how to play the character of Ellie. And like, I haven't really seen her in anything else because I never watched Game of Thrones, which is I know where she really came from. People say she's good there, but I just can't really tell because I haven't watched her in that. But she did not do a good job at all here, in my opinion. And as one of your two main characters, that kind of tanks the show. But Pedro Pascal is trying his hardest because he's carrying the role of Joel on his shoulder. And I think he did, honestly, pretty solid as Joel. I thought he did really well. Not as good as the video game counterpart, because Troy Baker is a legend, in my opinion. He's phenomenal. But Pedro Pascal did really good with the role. And some of the supporting characters, like the lady who plays Tess, she was fine for what she was in. I kind of hated how Tess went out. I mean, it was cool and all, but the part with the kiss zombie thing, like, what the fuck was that? Like, why? But besides that weirdness, the main thing that annoys me is one of the most regarded episodes is the Bill episode with Frank, which is the LGBT love story between them. It's said to be the best episode in TV history. It's an achievement in television and all that sorts of goofiness. And when we're looking at it in terms of the relationship, I really like it because it fleshes out the characters more, and that's great. But my main issue is not with the representation, because that's fine. I appreciate that. My main problem is that the story comes to a halt. The entire episode is a flashback of their love story from beginning to end, and only at the end of the episode does Joel and Ellie get there, and they're already gone. They're dead. So Ellie never gets to interact with Bill, which I think is a travesty, because their back and forth in the game was one of my favorites personally. And there's no, going through the school, fighting off a horde of zombies throughout the city or the town, and to get the battery and all. They just find a key for a car that's already ready to go. And then it's one of the worst episodes in the show, not because of the representation, which I don't want to be lumped in that crowd with people that are anti-gay or whatever. That is not why. It's because of the story coming to a direct halt. And it just falters for a bit. And the next two episodes, you already, it just becomes painful to sit through because you know everything that's going to happen. And it's literally stuff you know and love from the game, except done worse, with less action, less entertainment, inferior performances. Because I think the majority of the performances from the game is better than the show. And then by the time you get to the end of the show, which I will admit the final episode was fine. It was all right, but it just felt like a waste of time to sit through. And I'm not looking forward to season 2 if it's anything like this. They're gonna milk it to 2 seasons, I see. So it's a travesty on how bad this show was. But in terms of quality and production design and all that, it's really good. That type of stuff is good. It's just the choice to make less action, less thrilling moments in a zombie apocalypse show was really baffling to me. And the fact that he had the guy who did Chernobyl, which is said to be one of the better shows out there, and Neil Druckmann, who worked on the freaking games, the fact that we got this as a result is so sad. And I feel crazy. I'm one of the only people that's given a negative reception on it, but I'm sorry. I have to speak my truth, right? You have to be honest on your opinions. So that's what I'm going with here. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It did not do it for me. I'm happy if everyone else loves it and I'm just the crazy person who didn't like it. That's fine. Opinions are subjective and whatever. So I just had to put a video out there giving my thoughts. So that was what I had to say on The Last of Us Season 1. I know. I'm shocked that it's that low, but I had to be honest. So, what do y'all think? Was I way too harsh on this show? Or do you think, yay, someone actually said something negative and I can agree with that? Or can we have a back and forth? Please let me know down below in the comments. That would mean a lot to me. And if you want to hit the subscribe button and the bell as well to get notified on when I upload, that would mean a lot to me. And thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.